CEO.CA, the leading community for investors in junior resource and venture stocks. My name is Amrit Gill, and today we're joined by James Cross, CEO of ePower Resources. ePower are a graphite explorer in the Quebec region, trading on the CSE under the ticker EPR. Hi, James. How's it going?
Going well, thanks. Nice to be here.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. So let's get right into it. Tell us a little bit about ePower Resources, when and why the company was formed, and what the vision is, and how you differentiate yourselves from the competition.
Sure. ePower was started back in October of 2018 and really was started because some of our early and original shareholders asked what could we do in the resources space around electric vehicle batteries. And so the first thing we set about doing was trying to determine which of the material components of a battery would be most likely to face a supply crisis soonest. And the conclusion we came to was that graphite was going to be that material component that faced a supply crisis soonest. So we formed a company around a graphite project, and we intend to seize that critical link in the battery supply chain. Manufacturers are going to need access to graphite resources in the ground, and we want to be able to provide that to them.
Well, tell us about your Tetapisca and Turgeon properties. What attracted you to Quebec, and why is the geology of the properties appealing?
Well, for starters, what attracted us to Quebec originally was really that's where we found a good graphite project. Now, having worked there for nearly 5 years now, we absolutely love Quebec. The government is very supportive of the work we do, and and essentially we operate in a subsidized industry. A good portion of our exploration expenses are returned to us by the government, so they're really sharing the risk and sharing the cost. Our original property was the Turgeon property. We took that on first for its graphite potential, but have now determined that it is unlikely to host a world-class graphite deposit. But it sits in an area very active with gold and base metals exploration. It's right alongside the Detour gold mine, and also near Hecla Mining's Casa Berardi gold mine. It is a very active gold and base metals exploration area, so we're looking for partners there. And at the same time, our flagship property, the one on which we're really focused, is the Tetapisca property, which sits about 215 kilometers north of Baie-Comeau, Quebec. And it is a graphite property, and we believe this property could host as many as 5 world-class graphite deposits. And our work is about delineating the first one.
Well, on that note, James, tell us about the exploration work that is being undertaken at those properties this year.
Well, our flagship property, the Tetapisca property, we've just started a drill program there, which should be 3,000 meters or maybe just a bit more. And the purpose of that program is really to determine which of the 5 target areas we've found on the property that look as though they could host a world-class graphite deposit. We want to determine with this program which of those 5 is most likely and conveniently going to produce us a very mineable world-class graphite deposit. So this program is all about choosing which of the target areas to focus on to really get that low-hanging fruit.
And James, at the Tetapisca property for the drill program, what strategy do you have in place to identify those high-priority targets?
Well, the strategy we have in place is really to drill 3 of our 5 most important targets on the property. And we want to determine which of those 3 is most likely and most conveniently going to produce us a world-class graphite deposit. So the program we have laid out is roughly 3,000 meters of drilling, maybe a little bit more, of generally short drill holes. No more than 150 meters, but really generally not more than 100 meters below the surface because we would drill at a dip. So And the reason for that is we don't want to come up with a very deep and inconvenient graphite deposit. We want to come up with a graphite resource that would be very easily marketed to a battery manufacturer so that it's as close to shovel ready and de-risked as possible. So the target areas we have in mind, on some of those target areas, you can literally kick the graphite on the ground. So it's not as though we're looking for something hundreds of meters below the surface.
Well, as you roll out the programs, what are the timelines looking like for the development at these properties?
Well, this drill program, it could take a couple of months, and assays could roll in a bit longer than that. But I guess the most important thing about our timeline is we are really this drill program, and one more drill program from potentially having a world-class graphite deposit on the books. So with this program, we're going to choose which target area to focus on. And our next drill program, to take place probably around November of this year, would be focused on resource delineation on that selected target area. And at the conclusion of that, when all the data comes in, all the assays are in, and then a 43101 resource estimate can be written, at that point, we believe we'll have a world-class graphite deposit on the books. So that could just be 10 months away. So, that's the important thing to note about the timeline. We're potentially 10 months from a world-class graphite deposit.
Is there anything else that you'd like to share with our community at CEO.CA?
I think one important thing about our company and our business model is that if you look at the graphite space, the listed players in the Western world in graphite, most of them have really drifted downstream in the supply chain. And they're trying to become not just resource developers, but also battery anode material manufacturers. And we believe that if we're going to become battery anode material manufacturers, we're going to need to do private placements for $100 million rather than $2 million. So we intend to stay right in the supply chain where we are now, in the resources space. We know these battery manufacturers desperately need graphite in order to fuel the factories they've spent billions to build. And securing a graphite resource in the ground for them is really absolutely imperative. So we intend to provide them with those resources so that they can fuel those factories.
Thank you so much for your time today, James.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.